Welcome to Chat With Me. I'm so excited you're here with me today. I am being joined with three wonderful women from the Muslim community so that we can understand more about their experiences and the things that they've been through. Thank you ladies so much for joining me today on Chat With Me. I think this is an incredible topic and I appreciate you being here to help us understand Muslim women. Would you mind introducing yourself, please?
Absolutely. My name is Rasha Mubarak, and I was born in Brooklyn, New York, but I was raised here in the heart of Central Florida in Orlando. I like to say that I'm a happy Floridian, just don't get my Brooklyn blood pumping. And I'm a proud Muslim Palestinian American. Glad to be here today. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Laurie Lott, and I am a Muslim woman here in Central Florida, and born and raised second generation Orlandoan, if that's a word. And I'm also a professor of teacher education.
Nice.
Hi, I'm Sally, and I was born in Trinidad and Tobago. I moved here to the US when I was 16. I've traveled to a few countries. I have been in Orlando continuously, I guess, for the last 8 years, but I've been here. I went to UCF, and currently I am a business IT professor.
Ooh, wonderful. Very smart ladies we have here today on our couch. So I think we should just dig right in, and why don't you tell me some of the most misconceptions you feel are out there about Muslim women?
Well, I can start today with saying that I know we had a panel of 5. And
typically we do have a panel of 5. Would you like to
Yes.
explain maybe why you feel we only had 3 women join us today?
Well, I think more often than not, Muslim women, I mean, they have quite a lot of talent. They're able to accomplish a lot in society, but at the same time, they function within a culture. And I think in so much so that with culture and religion, what the public sees basically is more of the culture rather than religion. And so first and foremost, I feel like Muslim women have to make sure that they are functioning within their culture, if there's any stigma attached to anything. And that's so much more so for Laurie and I of a different generation than the younger ones. And these women who were probably supposed to be here could not because their families, their culture, that takes precedent first.
Do you think there were some nerves, maybe a little fear involved?
It could be in terms of who might have wanted to come on the show and so on. But first and foremost, I think for Muslim women, it's their families and their traditions that come first before anything. Even if they were to say, this is what I want to do, that takes a backseat.
Okay, to whatever else would come
whatever
up.
else is happening.
I'd probably have to disagree just because I guess I wasn't following the text message thread like I should have, but I could have easily brought 5 women. I sit on the board of the Muslim Women's Organization, and maybe there is a generational difference, but a lot of vocal women, a lot of talented women, a lot of women that want to share their stories, and I think it's important and critical. So yeah, I guess probably different dynamics.
So you think the women that you may have been able to get would be of your age?
There'd be older, younger, but yes.
You also have great access, a little greater access than maybe we had.
Yeah.
But what do you feel are some of the misconceptions out there?
I want to go back to the fear. You mentioned fear.
Okay, I did.
So I really kind of want to touch on that because as we are minority women, I wasn't always a minority woman, so I converted halfway through my life. I made a conscious choice to be a different religion than what I was brought up to be. And as a Muslim woman, and also I wore a scarf, I would wake up in the morning and before I would go out going, okay, who is going to perceive me in a bad way? I had to prepare myself. So there was always this hidden like, what do I wear? How do I represent? How do I, if I say anything, will they perceive it as, you know, she's the angry Muslim woman, or why are her children misbehaving? Not just because I'm just normal and have normal kids like everybody else. No, it's because I'm the Muslim woman. And so there might be this, sense of fear that, or kind of like, well, maybe I shouldn't go because it might not be taken this way or something. So there could be that as well. And we have to maybe acknowledge that.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. So when you said scarf, did you mean a hijab?
Yes.
Okay.
So I wore that for 25 and a half years.
Wow.
Yes, and I just took it off about a year and a half ago. And people ask me why, and I'm like, I don't really have a story.
You don't have a story behind it.
Story.
Well, I think the better question is, why did you wear one for 25
Why did I wear?
years?
I love it. I loved it, and I love what it represents. I love the freedom.
Can you share with me what it represents? Is it a religious thing or a cultural thing?
So it can be both.
It can be both.
It of course depends, and we have lots of different interpretations.
Okay.
But the way that I saw it, this was something. It was a choice that I made. Everyone asks, well, did you do it for your husband? And I'm like, I really love my husband. I don't love him that much. This was for me, and I felt it was the right thing to do, and I wanted to show the beauty of being a Muslim woman, and I thought it was beautiful. And I wore very colorful, vibrant scarves that I bought from.
Yes.
Yeah, and I bought them from the bathing suit store. So instead of wearing it around my butt, I wore it around my head.
That's hilarious.
People just had problems with that, and it was always, you know, oh, I really like your scarf. Oh, are you Muslim? And I really just didn't
Well,
like
it definitely is calling attention to that.
is.
I think if you're wearing a hijab, we can assume that you're Muslim.
or none. I got that in like grocery stores. That people would come up to me and say, "Oh, I had one like use a kind of just some very volatile language, and they apologized." I'm like, well, who do you think I am? And one little girl thought I was a nun,
I'm none.
which is I love being compared to that.
So it is a choice. Rasha, do you ever wear?
I wear the headscarf when I pray or go to the masjid. I definitely believe that it's an Islamic religious obligation. I just don't know. My spirituality right now is where I'm just focusing on. In Islam, we talk about like ikhlaq, which means mannerism. And I believe that like for me, that's something that I'm working on, and how we show up in spaces, how we fight for justice. Like there's different components in Islam. So right now my focus isn't necessarily hijab or headscarf. It's my relationship with God and the relationship that I have with the community. And I think how to better interact with our community and empower them. So that's where my spirituality is right now.
I love it. I think that's fantastic. And how about you, Sally?
No, I absolutely agree with Rasha, both ladies, in the fact that a lot of the women in my family wear this headscarf. I just feel it is definitely a choice. I think a lot of times I've met women who wear it because, again, it was a cultural thing that, or a tradition that they had to. My personal take on it is that if you're going to wear it in the traditional sense, it's a complete outfit along with the personality. It represents what a Muslim woman is, which is to be kind, to be generous, to all the things that we, in every religion, they talk about in terms of enhancing you as a person that is there for your community, for your family, for everyone else. It's not just a show. You know, I'm going to wear something. So the way I understand it to mean, if I'm wearing it, the religion calls for your entire body to
Your
be
entire
covered.
presence.
Exactly, to be covered, as well as how you behave.
And I've seen that women who have been completely covered except for their eyes, and
That's a little bit different.
okay, so educate me, please.
I think that like in Islam, just like any other religion, and then specifically here with the hijab, there's no homogeneity of what a Muslim woman looks like. And I think that we come from all backgrounds. 90% of Muslims living in this country are people of color. So there's different hijabis, right? Like what we call hijabis are sisters that do wear the headscarf, the hijab. You're gonna find them on Instagram. They have their own fashionista hijabs. And then you'll find ones that do cover their face. So there's just there's different iterations of the hijab, different interpretations, different I think commitments from that person. So I think that at the Muslim Women's Organization, like we say, come as you are, whether that is covering your face, whether that's you're coming in shorts and a tank top, because we also believe in Islam that it's for God to judge you, and we're not there to judge, we're there to be there for each other as sisters.
Power each other.
Yes,
Lift
so-
each other up.
Absolutely.
And that's great from your own community, but how can I be there and support? So if I'm in a room or in an environment or a social environment with a woman who is covered from head to toe, is it okay for me to address them? Is it okay for me
Yes.
to talk to them like I talk to my friends? Because I would be, honestly, I'd be reluctant.
So I'll give you a personal thing. I didn't cover my face, but I did cover my hair. Hardly anybody talked to me. I didn't get asked to go out for coffee in my place of work.
Yeah.
I felt that people put a barrier between us. And maybe I wasn't approachable, but I felt it was.
You are approachable.
Well, no, it's probably not you. It would probably be like me, and I wouldn't want to disrespect in any way. So if I don't know, then it's safer for me to not. But this is why I think this is so important. If you can explain to me if it's just as appropriate for me to communicate with you like I would
communicate with
else.
us as women. I mean, we share a common bond.
I guess I've never heard, and that's interesting, like the same gender having that. I know that opposite gender has felt that way. And then, for instance, like the different organizations that I've worked with, we've done Islam 101 trainings for universities, colleges, hospitals, even law enforcement. For example, one of the things that we taught is that if the person's not making eye contact, it doesn't mean necessarily a sign of deceit. It's just that they're showing, you know, they're being modest, and that's their way. So there's just
culture.
So there's different.
That's so important.
This is why I'm saying, for the most part, a lot of the things that we learn are cultural. And for me, I think being older, I'm going to be a grandma soon, so I'm very excited about that.
Congratulations.
Thank you. What I've seen, and being born in the West and coming here and so on, I know there's, you know, if you're raised in America, it's one thing, but if you're raised elsewhere and then coming here, I've lived in the Middle East, so I've sort of moved around a bit. But seeing, for example, even for me, and I know what you're talking about, I would address other Muslim women who were completely covered, and it is a cultural thing. They don't want to communicate because maybe I wasn't wearing the scarf as they were and they knew I was Muslim. So a lot of times, and then there are others who don't care.
Yeah.
They're
Okay,
just
so
happy
individually,
to
I would just have to feel it out, and just as I would any other situation.
Yes.
I would encourage you to.
Yes.
Okay, I would love to.
Absolutely,
I just never wanted to be.
Like if you're
disrespectful.
standing in the line at the grocery store.
Right.
One of the things that my mother shared with me that she did, she is Christian, and if she was near a Muslim woman, she would strike up a conversation because she knew that's what I would want. And so she will do that to everybody. She will go out of her way to reach out and talk to a Muslim woman who she sees.
Well, you said, Laura, you mentioned that you converted. So how was that for you, and how welcoming was the Muslim community when you joined?
So I was very young, and it was a very conscious decision. The Muslim community was welcoming, but we weren't very many. There weren't many of me around. Like now, there are a lot of Muslim women converting and coming into the mosques, and they have classes to go to, and they have groups.
We have a convert care program
you have
now.
this care. It was like me, I was the one of 5 or something. It was very challenging because luckily, I came from a family who supported me because it was my decision. And yes, they were curious and they kind of had questions, but they didn't alienate me or disown me like many Muslim women who convert. Their families disown them. And I had that support. The Muslim community as well, but everybody wanted to teach me their way, like depending on the culture that they came to. So I got a really good cross-section of, how to dress and lots of unsolicited advice, and
which as women we love.
Yes,
that's real.
And it was from the heart.
Can I ask, what you had to do? Did you have to go to classes?
I didn't have to do anything.
Oh, you didn't have to do anything. It was just a choice.
No, it's all a choice. Yes, I just converted because it was what I thought was good for me.
There's just a conviction that's made.
Yes.
Right, which I totally understand. I didn't know if there was some not routine, but thing that you had to go through in order to be.
Well, you do have to say the Shahada.
Right. Okay.
But as far as you just do it in front of witnesses. Sometimes they have a big party and it's the whole community.
I think that's all of us in all religions. We love to party.
Exactly.
We love to
Anything
eat.
there's food,
Yeah. And you do that, and I just did it with a few people in my house. And then I tried to find classes. That was very difficult at the time. Now it's
very
so
different.
different now.
And both of you were born into this religion.
Absolutely.
And raised.
But I think for the most part, I went to a Presbyterian elementary school and a convent, a Catholic school. So I got to learn everything about all the different religions.
Beautiful.
And I had family who was Hindu. So pretty much I grew up in a very eclectic home where I was able, my parents had the Quran, the Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, all of these, because they believe that every religion had something.
Had some merit.
It's very common. I mean, the underlying things for all religion is to serve your fellow human being,
Well,
pretty much.
yeah.
I mean, if you're doing that, you are developing yourself as a person. And I think in Islam, what people, to me, I think they see Islam as something that's very submissive, that you have to become this person that shies away from everything else and you can't grow as an individual. However, Islam teaches you to grow by the first word that was told to our Prophet, peace be upon him, was to read.
Yep.
And so we're supposed to read and educate ourselves and become more aware. We're all in a journey to uplift ourselves. You can't really judge anyone because your journey may take longer than others. Some people might be there faster than you are, but you can't, I think Rasha said the right word. It's not to be judgmental.
Right, and I love that, and I think it's so important because what I've seen, basically in entertainment, when you watch TV shows, movies, when you see Muslim women, that's not the representation that I get to see, unfortunately. What I see is usually the submissive side, some sort of abusive situation going on, something. So we need more Muslim characters that are everyday people and show us this side. I think it's so important.
I think for the most part, I don't know if you ladies would like to expand on it, is that, and that's why I started at the beginning, that it's more cultural. Whether it's Western, Eastern, whatever it is, there's a certain culture that you have to behave a certain way within a family. Now, I'm Indian traditionally. I mean, my ancestors came like over 100 years ago to Trinidad. But we still try to keep that certain tradition in the family, which no one else is, you know, working through. I mean, in my age group, we've sort of gone away with it. My kids are gone. That's it. They're done with it. They were born in America. They're raised here. And they're living that lifestyle of understanding and loving everyone around, you know, accepting everybody, and that's what I wish for them.
Yeah, so Robin, just thinking about the microaggressions that exist in entertainment, the reality is living in the state of Florida right now, post the new administration, Islamophobia is up by 500%. It's the highest it's ever been, even post 9/11, post San Bernardino. It's the highest it's ever been because the rhetoric is real. And when we talk about this rhetoric, we're talking about not just the entertainment, right? The microaggressions that exist with entertainment and how Muslim women are portrayed. Not only are they perceived to be so my comms is kicking in. We usually don't talk about who we are not. We like to talk about who we are. But like they're not perceived as outgoing women. But the reality is it's not just entertainment and the microaggressions. It's also the rhetoric that comes within elected officials, community leaders, because language is so important. Executive orders that ban Muslim countries. So this is all taken into place. The bullying cases are so severe. When the work that I was doing, it was not just, I think I got death threats from, you know, white supremacists and the extreme opposition that just didn't want to see Muslim people around. And it's because all of this collectively it's giving bigotry a green light, and it's creating division. And when I talk about the bullying cases, I'm talking about kids that were born here and kids that were refugees fleeing from countries or war-torn countries and suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder because of the classroom bullying. And when I talk about Orange County, it's really bad, and it's not just peer on peer, it's faculty, staff on student. And so these are real cases. So yes, we have to start in the entertainment business and to bring a positive light. I can't remember, I don't want to say which show it was, but it was one of the medical shows where it was a sister in hijab that looked identifiably Muslim, where she played a leading character role. She took off her hijab to like stop the blood, and it was powerful, and people shared it. You're seeing sportswear, different companies that are perceiving different Muslim women in hijab. So that's great, and we have to find a balance of that, but they're also not tokenizing Muslim women. And
I'm in education, so I'm thinking K to 12. So I teach future teachers, and we're always teaching our teachers when it comes time to make your choice of curriculum, because you do have some control of that.
Yes.
What kind of books are you choosing? Are you giving students mirrors or just windows? Are you giving them a mirror of, and you talk about the Muslim women, how many, you know, Muslim females are portrayed in a, you know, in a little picture book that, you know, another little girl could say, oh, that looks like my mom, or that looks like me, or my sister, or my aunt. There are not a lot of, you know, those kinds of books out there. We are writing them, they are just not in the schools and as accessible as they need to be. And so that's another form of entertainment. And
absolutely, and starting young is so important.
Yes.
If it's integrated early and it's not made to be the big thing, it's just what it is, then that's a beautiful thing.
I do have to touch on that because my daughter just did her treatise for her doctoral, her doctoral thesis.
Nice.
And it was basically on songs in the Muslim world.
Wow.
Arabic songs, and being a Muslim herself, she's an opera singer, and she wanted to cross the barriers. So she reached out to all the people in the Middle East and so on, and for the first time, she has gotten to where she's creating an IPA, the standard by which the Western community can pronounce the Arabic letters in order to integrate it into the schools here, just like you have songs from Judaism, Christianity, and so on, in the choirs. And so she's bringing that to the forefront. So she's the very first that we know of in the world that's sort of
leading that charge.
That charge. And so the poets and the composers in the Middle East are working with her. So she's on that front. It's really incredible that she's doing that, because I believe as educators, as Laurie said, we have to put it out there that Muslim women in particular, because we're not talking about the men today, but the women are doing so much in the forefront to put it out there that we are regular women who want to empower young girls, to empower the people in our community to work with us. You know, don't judge based on the dress, because you can see someone that's very scantily clothed, and you know that might be appropriate for some people and not for some other people.
And I think that's with any religion. You have people on it, and there's a sliding spectrum of how religious they are, or how, you know, more conservative, less conservative.
Exactly. So it should be judge. You know, if you want to judge, then look at someone based on their character, who they are as a person. We need to take off the fact that this person is either a hijabi or dressed appropriately or whatever it is. And I think that goes for all of humanity. Just look at the person themselves, and we need to get rid of that, oh, they're hijabis. Don't classify women as by what they're wearing.
Right. You can't assume you know who they are based on what they're wearing.
Exactly.
So Rasha, you mentioned that you don't want to focus on the negative, which is great. Let's focus on some of the positive. Tell me some of the things about Muslim women.
Well, I do want to point out, I think with the microaggressions and the Islamophobia, there's also like the sexualization and fetishizing Muslim women that we're seeing in a lot of different arenas. And I think that's super dangerous too. But I also want to say that the way that we combat it is because of people like you, Robin. You have a platform, and you're using this platform to bring light and to educate. I think you're following, and it's super important. One thing that I always talk to, especially the youth or in the social justice world, is that it doesn't matter what platform you have. We have a responsibility to use it for the greater good. And I think you are a pure example of that, and I want to thank you. I think, so like when you think about Muslim women, I think we talked a little bit about not tokenizing or fetishizing Muslim women, in the sense that, you know, when we're looking at sisters in hijab, they shouldn't be known as a sister in hijab, right? They are doctors. They are the pharmacists that are filling up your sick child's prescription at 3 o'clock in the morning. I mean, when it comes to their hijab, they each have their own personal, intimate, and powerful story. But the reality is that they are the powerhouses, and the Muslim community is not new to America. We actually were on the boat that was forcefully migrated into this country we were on the boat where the slaves were. That's where Muslims came. So this idea that the Muslims are new in this country, or Muslim women are new, or they're finding this new, found empowerment, is also not true, because there's a lot of Muslim women that have taken presidency in different countries before we've had our own first woman president. So I think that it's important to just educate ourselves, have this important dialogue, and really highlight the different stories.
And I think I appreciate what you said, and I think it's important for people in my position or any position to admit, I don't know, but I want to know, and I want
That's
to be
the difference.
respectful.
Yes.
And right, that's it. So I think it's important for all of that.
Absolutely. Well, I hope that we're able to get the word out that for the young ladies who are out there who are looking for role models, there are tons of women who are willing to mentor them, to be there for them, to help them through, and not to see. I think there might be a sort of inhibition, or for lack of a better word, where young girls, Muslim girls, are afraid to come forth. Just staying away from the religion, or not even saying that they are Muslim so that they can fit in, so that they're not bullied, as Rasha was pointing out, just to not let people know. Because I've asked kids, I've taught from 3rd grade to 12th grade now as a professor, and kids are scared to say I'm Muslim because they're afraid they'll be judged differently, or bullied, or so forth. So they create that, I don't know what I don't really belong to anything. They don't say that they are from any denomination. They're just, no, I'm
And the
not.
only way to take that fear away is if we're talking. That's right.
Exactly. And to make that awareness more so in the classroom, at any forum, any platform that we can get, is to get those kids. My thing is, I would love to empower young women to be true to themselves. The religion just teaches you. It's such a beautiful religion, honestly, for me. I'm very, I want to say I'm a bit of a feminist, but not so much on the extreme on any side, but wanting to empower young women to believe in yourself, go forward, not to have culture and society tell you who you can be and what you can be. And I think a lot of that has come with women I've spoken to from other cultures who have come here, and they are afraid. They're afraid to the point that they will not voice it. They will just reiterate exactly what they heard their parents or grandparents say. They'll reiterate it and say, no, this is the way it's supposed to be. I'm of the mind that you can read and make that judgment for yourself, because at the end of the day, it's your life.
It's your life.
So,
Any last thoughts?
It's funny because I believe that Islam is a feminist religion because it protects. I'm super feminist, and I believe that because it protects the right of women and how you define feminism. Feminism is the right to choice, and I think that sometimes there's misinterpretations of what feminism is, but so for me, like it's even just, I wanted to point that out because even like sitting on this couch and like we're good friends and we have different perspectives, but we come from similar ideologies, right? And I think also that, Robin, like the work that I've done, a lot of times I get asked to do media or press. It's usually when something bad happens. So I do want to say, like, times like this, I appreciate it, where we're actually just talking and like
having a conversation,
right, and having a conversation. And I think that I encourage people to get involved with the Muslim Women's Organization. We do a lot of interfaith work. We're doing a lot of leadership training, and you don't necessarily even have to be a Muslim woman, but there's a lot of different organizations, I think, here in Central Florida specifically, within the Muslim community, that are doing not just good work as Muslims or for Muslims, but they're really doing work that have amplified what Orlando is today in Central Florida and our true contributors. So to maybe even highlight those stories, I think would be amazing.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies, so much for being here.
Thank you.
I appreciate you educating me, and with that, hopefully we can educate others as well, and let's not stop the discussion. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Please take care of yourselves, and don't forget to take care of each other.